Protoss OP. OP is a big word, Jeremy. Protoss is good. Even some of the Protoss players are now saying that Protoss is good. You don't even have to hear it from me anymore. On Reddit, they're struggling. The Terran pushes are just too hard to deal with, guys. And Marauders don't die. We've heard it all, but at the highest level, it seems that Protoss is performing better. Still no Katowice, Niels? No, 0. Every day, Katowice is becoming less and less likely. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'll be so sad if I'm not going to Poland. It's my jam. How's the hit casino going to survive if I don't stop by? I actually have that money from last year. Last year I won. I'm legit thinking about that, Kamachi. I mean, there is a chance that next year I'll maybe do some more stuff for Basilisk. Perhaps they want me to go. As a businessman. 2025 might be the year that Roddy has to say goodbye to the sweatpants that I'm wearing right now. And I'll be a businessman. Take a look at the historic results. You guys can see what I was talking about. A 3-2 victory for Reynor, a 3-2. They had a 1-1 draw in WTL. Reynor always has 1-1 in WTL. And it was a 1-0 victory for Reynor. The last time they played was on the 8th of November. If I'm reading this correctly. Yes, I am. And that is when MaxPax beat the Reynor 3-1 in the Basilisk Big Brain Bouts. If you guys want to take a look at that series, the games were actually very fun. Especially the map that Reynor won on Lost and Found, I think was excellent. If you guys do !_ Basilisk, I'm sure you can find it easily on YouTube. Let's see how easily I can find it. Here you go. Pretty easy. 7.6k views is not bad, actually. I'm excited for this one, guys. It's good. I didn't quite suit up for this one, but I did swap out the hoodies. I do love my Shopify hoodie. That was a great gift from good old Shopify. But for this one, we had to be in black. This looks like if Nickelodeon hosted. I think it's Dragon Ball themed. I've said that from the very first time I saw it. And then the more I looked at it, the more I'm like, oh, this is so Dragon Ball themed. I saw in MediaMarkt the other day when I was Christmas shopping that there is a Dragon Ball fighting game. And then I recognized or remember that everybody was talking about that on the internet a couple months ago, saying it was the best Dragon Ball game ever. I was a StarCraft historian. When I was a kid, mate, I've shared this story many times on stream, so I'm not going to go into details. But obviously, when I was a kid, we didn't have the internet yet. Or maybe the very beginnings of the internet were there, but basically nobody had the internet. And when you did have it, it was proper dog shit. So we truly relied on national television. And every day out of elementary school, everyone would run home because at like 4 or 4:30, Dragon Ball Z was on. And then we made it all the way to the Cell Saga. And then it started all over again from the very beginning. And everyone was in shambles because we knew that there was more. But they didn't show it to us. So we had to wait. And then there was this very important day where I was like, will it continue? And then suddenly we came home. And then finally we entered the Android Saga. And it was like, oh my god. Everybody was so fucking happy. And we were all talking about it on school the following day. I was a massive Dragon Ball Z fan. I did try to watch the other Dragon Balls, like the original one and Dragon Ball GT, but none of those really did it for me. But Dragon Ball Z was amazing. Probably one of the best things I've ever watched. What was my favorite saga? I think I really love the Android Saga. Obviously, I think the first two were very good too. With, was it Boo? Majin Boo? I think that one was very good. And Nappa with the squad. How were they called again? That was very fun, obviously. But I love the Android Saga. Android 18, 19, they were so cool. I obviously thought that the blonde chick was very pretty. Yes, he was a robot. An anime robot, but little Roddy was kind of in love. Massive crush on Android 18 or whatever she was. The Jinju Force. Merry Christmas to you as well, champ. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for the 76 months. 6 years into the sky. How did you do that? Did I watch it in English? It's a good question. Yes, I think it was in English with Dutch subtitles. So I think English with Dutch subtitles is how we watched it. Hello everyone, I ate carbonara in support of Reynor. You're making me hungry. There is this Italian not fast food, but this Italian chain called Vapiano's. And I had a pasta there. Like I always go for the pollo picante with fusilli and then like extra spice and extra chicken. It's fucking good. It's like 10, 11 bucks and I think it's really good. I had it 2 weeks ago when I went to the casino for the poker tournament. Aston Villa 1, Man City 0. That's gonna make Lethal very happy. I have no idea what's happening to Man City, mate. Like, this is actually the most bizarre fall from grace that I've seen in a very long time. It almost feels like that 3-3 from Feyenoord was a disappointing result, no? We should have won there. How did the tournament go? The first day, out of everybody, like Todd, Vicky, me, my brother, I think that was it. Vicky got the furthest and she actually finished in the money, so that was very impressive because Vicky has very little poker experience. She went down to literally one big blind, forced all in, but she still finished in the money out of like 170 people. The second time we played, there were 119 entries and I made it to the final table, but then I died in 9th place, which was kind of sad. But still, 2 days, broke even, was really fun. Dad was happy. My brother wasn't too happy because he couldn't help himself and he started playing roulette after he went out of the tournament. The downfall of a lot of poker players around the world. They can't help it. Not me this time. I stayed clean. So I think my brother didn't have the best time, but everybody else had a great time. He got your all-in call the other night and won a hand with a pair of jacks. In the tournament where I made it to the final table, when there were like 17 left, I called the guys a shove. He was on the cutoff and he went all in for like 40% of my stack and I had ace-9 offsuit. And I was like, it's close, but I have the feeling that he's shoving a whole lot worse. So I called. I was playing like, I don't know, 19, 18 big blinds. And he had queen-9 and he actually made a queen-high straight on the river. So sad. Total domination, get it in as good as I could, but obviously that's poker, that happens to everybody. But it was still sad, because I think if I win that hand, I have a good shot at maybe winning the entire tournament. But anyway, guys, the ley lines, it is time for the series that a lot of you guys are looking forward to. Probably my favorite best of 3 of the entire group stage. Bottom left side, the man who looked damn good yesterday night against Spirit. But that was a different matchup. It is Basilisk Reynor. Top right side, we're looking at the main base of the man that is representing PSISTORM Gaming. He already has 1 win under his belt in this group. It is MaxPax. The call was great. I made a lot of great calls. I also made a call with ace-5 suited against the guy that shoved king-queen. And in my mind, Todd got angry when I told him this, but in my mind I was like, this is king-queen or king-jack like 98% of the time. So I made the call with ace-5 and I was right and I held. And then Todd is like, it does not how poker works. You cannot be 98% certain that he has those 2 hands. I was like, I saw it. I felt it. Spidey senses were tingling. No, Jeremy did not. Would not think once about it. Thoughts on Winter's casting? I would love to see him at a LAN event. I casted with Winter at Homestar Cup 20 in Berlin. Winter got invited back then. And we did cast a couple games. Not many, but we definitely did cast a couple. My thoughts are that it's fine. It's not like I'm the biggest fan ever, but definitely not a hater either. It's just that other than that, I never really watched Winter's casting. Because the only StarCraft in general that I watch is when it's live. And Winter casts most of the time games that have already been played. So I have absolutely no idea what he has been doing in the last few years. But we all enjoy StarCraft in different ways. I just like watching live stuff. To me, the live element is incredibly important. And if it's not live, unless I like couldn't watch it live and I really want to watch, I basically never watch. I think Winter has been to more than one Homestury Cup, because I think Winter has been in Krefeld once as well. But he definitely got invited to Homestury Cup 20. But I think he's been in Krefeld once as well. Yeah, he's been at Homestury Cup 10. That was the one in the club. So Winter just picked the best ones. He picked 10 and 20. So maybe we'll see him back from Homestury Cup 30. Yeah, DreamHack Atlanta, he was part of the B stream, and I think he could do it on his own channel. I don't know if he actually did it from location or if he did it from home, but that's actually kind of a good deal. If you can cast a big event like that, if the viewership are there and you can do it on your own channel and not on ESLB, that is actually a good deal. It is Adepts and Oracles, guys, so the most standard stuff in the book. The follow-up is obviously going to be the really important part. Reynor will know that he's going to have to be very sharp on this early Saturday afternoon, because MaxPax's Oracle movement is excellent. I'd say it's the best in the business. But if you say that, then people are like, what about Hero? It's like, fine, maybe Hero's better. I don't know. We all like different things. I love MaxPax's Oracle movement. First one flies into the third. Reynor immediately morphed the one drone he had there into a Spore. Now, Spores have less HP, so they die a lot quicker. The Pulsar Beam is powerful. Reynor does cancel it, rebuilds the Spore, but in the end, he ends up losing it. This is not really a thing. Oh my god. Loses 2 Spore Crawlers. Now, whenever I say, oh my god, I think of that Abrams guy that I played with. Oh my god. But that's kind of big, guys. Big win for Max, I'd say. 2 kills on Spore Crawlers, not just drones. Gets another drone there. I know Reynor well enough that Reynor is not very happy with this early game. Hello, yo. My oracles would have already died. You know, you can say a lot about my oracle movement, but at least I play it with a lot of heart and commitment. I send them in there, and they will fight till the bitter end. That Navy SEAL spirit, never out of the fight. That's my oracle. My oracles never leave. We've got 5 adepts without glaive, and the 2 oracles are still going around as well. Reynor obviously going for that +1 melee. What a great moment for Reynor. His Zerglings to show up on the other side of the map. MaxPax missed the Ling move out, did not expect it, and this is big on the side of Reynor. This is obviously what he needed as well, but 6 workers before minute 6 is monstrous. It is often very difficult for a Zerg to get anything done against Protoss in the early stage. So 6 workers here is excellent. Winter plays random, but I have played a lot of games against Winter in the past, and it's similar to Pig. Winter's Zerg is a lot better than his Terran and his Protoss. And even when random players at one point start saying like, oh, I don't think it's the case anymore, man. When I used to play against all 3, it was so obvious that he's like a Zerg main and the other 2 races are not that hot. I had the same with Pig. I think Pig's Protoss and Terran definitely did get like legit a lot better over the years. But I would still always fear the Zerg a whole lot more than the Terran or the Protoss. It's just something about your original race. I know Piggy has been catching up, and there are moments where he probably even feels slightly more confident with Terran or Protoss, but I still think that if you put Pig in the lab and you let him play a couple 100 games, his Zerg will still outshine the other 2 races. Stasis Trap gets activated, Reynor gets a surround, and I think with +1 melee Zerglings, this is a great fight for Reynor. He's not going to take a lot of damage. MaxPax already bleeding out a decent amount of gateway units, and not a lot of things going well here for Max. Guys, Stalkers are pricey, they're expensive, and Reynor is all over it. He is looking for those final Stalkers. Blink probably still on cooldown for a few more seconds. Cute juke, but I don't think it's going to save these Stalkers. Wow. Game 1 so far is all Reynor, guys. MaxPax had a good start when he killed those 2 drones that morphed into Spores, got another drone. But ever since that tiny Zergling counter on the 3rd, it's been all Reynor. You have attempted to go full random, Roddy. There was a time where I wasn't casting a lot yet from home, and I was actually playing a lot of random. I even had an account called RotterdaM. But I stopped it. And as soon as they're not fighting, I'll tell you. Basically, oh, I love the little link drop as well. I'm calling it the Mixu. My random was legitimately almost smurfing on the ladder. Because I would just win almost every game with Protoss. And I would just lose so much more with Terran and Zerg. That I start feeling really bad for the guys that cared about their ladder points in their MMR. That whenever they run into my random and I got Protoss, they would lose 30-40 points. And if they would get my Terran or my Zerg, they'd be fine. And it just didn't feel right. And I know that I made a couple of my friends sad when I took like 40 points of them with Protoss. It didn't work out for me. My other races did not even get close to my Protoss, so no matter how much I play. Beastie's Terran was so much better than his other two races, man. I played a lot against Beastie, trust me. His Terran was so much better than his Zerg and his Protoss. Not even close. Balloon was a kind of a legit random. He was just a random player. He really didn't have a main race. Beastie was a Terran. Do we have dash? No, we don't have Hydra dash yet. But what we do have is 9-minute hive tech. Plenty of Zerglings, +2 melee done. And Reynor Glenn's Lurk is on the way. In my eyes, Reynor is cooking. His Protoss obviously became good eventually, but his Zerg was never that good. But his Protoss was nowhere near as good as his Terran. Zerglings catching a Colossus. How often do you see that? Reynor is playing sick, man. Needs to be careful here. There's a big stasis trap. There's a couple of big stasis traps, but there's still so much Zerg left over that he surrounds a lot of the Stalkers. The Lurkers come in from the left, and now Blink is on cooldown. MaxPax's supply is about to plummet as he loses a lot of these very expensive units. Man, what a game by Reynor. What a way to silence some of the haters as well. League of Legends, Reynor plays too much League of Legends. Well, seems like he's still pretty good, guys. He looked amazing yesterday against Spirit. And he's playing a sick game 1 here against MaxPax. Look at that. Straight out of the Summoner's Rift, baby. Chef's kiss delivered to all the haters. Woo! That's an actual statement by Reynor. I know MaxPax obviously has been losing some games against other Zergies out there as well. Like Shin has been able to get a couple victories over him lately, but more often than not, when MaxPax plays, it looks like it's Domination Nation, unless it's Clem on the other side of the battlefield, but whew. Reynor looked really good there. Indeed, not even the absolute cleanest start. Lost 2 drones, morphed into spores, so you're basically paying a double fee for those. But as soon as he got things going with those +1 melee Zerglings, the Queen movement was great. Transitions were smooth, engagements were superb. Our boy looks feisty. No. I refuse to believe that Sloppy Donkey is serious, Jeremy. I've read so many of his comments. I just don't think that these guys are real. I mean, they might be real, but like I really hope that Sloppy Donkey out there, like he's just sitting in a basement with some cool lights. He actually has a cool setup. And he's sipping on a nice bourbon, and he's like, I'm gonna make up some shit tonight, baby. Smoking a cigar, the entire basement full of smoke. Protoss is really struggling, and I'm betting $10,000 they won't win any of the Premier tournaments in 2025. And then he leans back in his big old chair, and he's like, let's see if it sticks. And then it blows up, and he's like, we did it again, baby. They fell for it. That's what I hope is actually happening. King's Cove is going to be our second map. Top left side, the man who looked excellent in that first game, Basilisk Reynor. Bottom right side still already has 1 win in the group, so in that regard, he's probably not mega unhappy. But that first game can't really I can't really give him a whole lot of confidence. It is PSISTORM Gaming's MaxPax. Perhaps his downfall could be a tiny bit that he loves being almost like a Terran in the way that he plays Protoss, where he's always out on the map. He loves being active. He loves to multitask. And perhaps the best way to play Protoss right now is to do what Reynor would call piss chilling. And that is just fly around with some oracles, fly around with a wire prism, drop a couple units. But at home you just get a lot of storm, a lot of cannons, a lot of batteries, and a lot of tempest. I've said it before, that's absolutely not my favorite. It's not my favorite playstyle, it's definitely not my favorite stuff to watch. But I do think that is actually the best way to play Protoss right now against Zerg. If Reynor gets out of the group, Roddy, can we do an interview with him? I mean, that wouldn't happen until tomorrow, but yeah, could probably give him a call. He's always down for a good yapping session. So, I don't think I'll be in a rush tomorrow, so I think we can make that happen. That is 100% true, Yamblo. MaxPax has definitely trailblazed his own path and often led to a lot of success. I don't think he really looks for a whole lot of inspiration at other Protoss players. He kind of does what he thinks is best or what works best for him. And I'm sure that fun plays a factor as well, even if there is always a lot of money on the line in a lot of the games that MaxPax plays. But this man plays so much that I think it is very important for him to also enjoy what he's doing. Tell Reynor to turn his webcam on. Knowing Reynor, he probably doesn't have a webcam right now. The amount of times that I scheduled some sort of a BASILISK recording, and then Reynor would show up with his little vertical phone camera, and I'm like, God damn it, mate. It's like Serral looks tight, I look amazing, Trigger looks great, and then Reynor shows up with his 5-pixel phone camera, and I'm like, mate, we can't do this. And then we have to reschedule, and everybody else to show up the following day until Reynor gets his hands on his camera. So I'm pretty certain he doesn't have a camera right now. But he might also just say like, well, if MaxPax doesn't use a camera, I don't use a camera. It's that simple, right? Especially since Reynor also has internet issues from time to time. Nice block with the drone. Can he save it? Yes, he can. Oh my god, he gets the adept kill too. Guys, Reynor is so clean. What has happened? What has happened? Is he on a win streak in Summoner's Rift? Because our boy is on fire over here. That was incredibly clean. It's simple. One Zergling, one drone, block the adept, get maximum damage on the adept, save the drone, kill the adept. It's the small things, but it adds up. MaxPax's Oracle does show up right when one of the drones was hatching for Reynor, so that one gets picked up. This spore is not going to finish up. Reynor learned his lesson. I love how it took Reynor a game in Masters Coliseum to figure out that cancelling the spore and building another spore is not the play. So it's like, we'll just go for the Evo chamber instead. That gives me the feeling that Reynor has not played 300 ladder games on the latest patch. Because he just made that adjustment now. Once more opens up with that quick +1 melee. +1 melee obviously excellent against the Stalkers. I wonder if MaxPax is willing to maybe do something very different here with Archons and Zealots and Zealot Charge, and that is exactly what he's going to do. So MaxPax realizes that with the way that Reynor plays, it is incredibly difficult to make these Stalker styles work. So he's going to try to switch it up. But just because Reynor is investing in +1 melee doesn't mean he only has to build Zerglings. He is dropping a Roach Warren, and he can obviously still build Roaches and Ravagers. Could lead into Roachling, Ravager, Bane. I think if you ask Zerg players, Dr. Rossi, they would say that a lot of things have changed in the flow of stuff, but in my personal games, I haven't noticed too much of a difference. Like, I still play against people that build a lot of queens, walk queens to the other side of the map. In theory, I like the change. And I mean, you do see, like, timings are definitely different, and there are moments where you see more hatcheries go down. There are definitely Zerg players that are experimenting with very low queen counts and all the hatcheries, so yeah, like, things have changed, but sometimes I feel like people almost look for unrealistic changes. They're like, wow, I thought StarCraft would look completely different, you know, like 12 new units are added. And it's like, no, these are minor changes that have an impact on how races grow, how races interact with each other. Obviously, the games are not going to look like, wow, I've never seen a game of StarCraft 2 before. Reynor has dropped the Spire. I kind of love it. I don't think MaxPax's Oracles have seen it yet. Now, MaxPax is here. Reynor is going to be forced to make a whole bunch of roaches. I think he's got some time for these roaches to hatch, since obviously the High Templars need to morph into an Archon first. Tiny Zergling counterattack. There is no shield battery overcharge. The regular battery can obviously get recharged and is tankier, so it won't just die, but still a great little counter so far by Reynor. Gets 5 workers immediately. And look at this army of Max, guys. I'm not really a believer. Unless somehow these roaches in the force field make it impossible for the queens to get in range. But I think, why it doesn't transfuse. Reynor just wants to get the prism. He gets a lot of shots off on the prism. Does not quite get it. Close call. Oh, MaxPax gets the hatchery. Did definitely lose some workers at home. Lost a lot of units on the other side of the map. And as far as I know, is still completely in the dark in regards to that Spire. 7 meters on the way. I don't think it's good for MaxPax. Sure, getting the 4th base is obviously nice. He got something out of it, but I think he lost more than what he got out of it. I'm incredibly curious if Reynor is just going to make like 8 to 10 mutas to harass, force out some cannons, maybe even a Phoenix, or if Reynor is meaning to make more mutalisks. Because right now MaxPax does not have a lot of great answers for the mutas. Basically, his best defense right now, guys, is a War Prism that's already damaged. And then he can like fly 2 Archons around. But that could backfire real quick. MaxPax still does not know about the mutas. He's obviously going to find out soon in the hard way. I think that's the first time that he caught a glimpse. We do have cannons on the way. He's going to warp in Stalkers immediately. But these Stalkers will not have Blink. Stalkers without Blink are pretty trash against mutas. Especially without a shield battery to support. The Archons are not there. This is so bad for MaxPax. He's going to take a lot of economic damage. He gets a few shots off, but there's 8 workers going down immediately. And obviously Reynor is not done yet. Reynor is all over the 4th base. The Italian Stallion is legitimately cooking. That's a kill. It's a straight up kill on the 4th. The 400 minerals down the drain. The Zealots are going to fall as well. Everywhere we look, Reynor is getting victories, and it is the lair tech for Reynor. That's important to keep in mind, but at this point, I am not Omega concerned about that yet. And obviously, right when we say that, Reynor says, well, let me go ahead and fire up Hive. The soup lies. I don't think the soup is lying. Sometimes in these scenarios, it can absolutely lie. And if I feel like MaxPax is very fortified on his bases and he will not take any more damage and he can easily go up to 4 bases, I'd say yes, the supply is lying, but clearly we just saw that's not the case. No, I don't think it is lying. Like, I don't think it's lying at all, because I don't think MaxPax is done yet taking damage, and MaxPax does not have 4 bases. If MaxPax had 4 bases, I would be worried for Reynor, but he doesn't. I think Reynor, even with a lot of Zergling stuck in the stasis trap, is gonna get another cancel. MaxPax is Storm though, it's hard to lose with Storm. No. I think this game is looking really good for Reynor. I am not worried at all. It is not over yet. I don't think MaxPax is dead. But I definitely don't think that MaxPax is very happy with the position that he's in. Look, this is what I meant. In fact, we don't have observers everywhere. We don't have 25 stalkers with Blink. We have a couple of Phoenixes that are sleeping on the job. The mutas, it does seem like they are now going to take their first bad fight. Reynor is actually completely okay with this fight. Misclicked there, shot at the assimilator, but the bouncing glaives are still doing their things. So Reynor, his Mutalisk, as their final act, will get 10 workers. Maybe one more Phoenix. The Phoenix gets saved. MaxPax could absolutely use the second robo here. Or even a third robo. Instead he's gonna drop a fleet beacon, but I don't think that's the call. Since we don't have any air upgrades, and I think by the time that he's really gonna get value out of Tempest, maybe carriers, but I think carriers are a bit unlikely here. I think Reynor will already be not just knocking on his front door. Reynor will be bulldozing his way in. I actually think a second robo would have been a better choice here. Yeah, 10 lurkers, 15 lurkers. I would love a couple Vipers on Reynor's side, even if they have feedback. I just think that having 2-3 Vipers is always worth it. Like, let's lose these Mutas and replace them with Vipers. An Abduct, a Blinding Cloud. I'd love it. Even the 2-3 Mutalisks are still finding some workers, by the way. Alright. If MaxPax made the fleet big and just for the mothership, I think it's a good choice, by the way. That's something that does make sense. Because motherships are very good right now. War Prism in the corner of Reynor's main. Reynor is a little bit out of position, so these Zealots might get something done, but the Prism is going to fly back into the third base. Triangle, I guess, as well. Nice storms on the side of Max, but Lurkers are very tanky boys. First Tempest on the way, 2 more Stargates in production. I just don't think MaxPax has the time. But let's see. Is the mothership out already, or did he cancel it, guys? I almost feel like he cancelled the mothership. Tempests do build a whole lot quicker than... Hey, he cancelled it. Right now, I also think the supply is still lying a little bit, because MaxPax has a lot of supply in production. A lot of supply in production is not quite here yet, but he is obviously starting to get closer to a position that he is going to be comfortable and happy with. And he's got a decent amount of great units. There are some choke points here where he could theoretically drop big fat storms. The Reynor knows that he does not want to really see MaxPax stabilize on 4 bases and have all the money in the world and get better upgrades. +1 air weapons is done. First Tempest is out, but 1 Tempest doesn't have the DPS. I think MaxPax needs to fight. He doesn't want to. Nice storm on the Zerglings. So MaxPax gives up on the original 4th base and he's going to try to retake the one in the center. But the one in the center is a lot more wide open, where I think it is likely that Reynor will get better fights than he was able to get at the bottom. I think that MaxPax's army was strong enough there, yeah, but maybe that's like one of these moments where he's worried about what else is out there. He obviously has incomplete information. He doesn't see everything that we have. But I agree that with 2 storms and an Immortal A move, I think you're fine. More open can also help you versus the Lurkers, though. Alright, well, the Lurkers are here. Sometimes, yes, sometimes. Reynor is going to take a lot of shots from these Tempests immediately. The Roaches and Lurkers. Beautiful engagement by Reynor, by the way, with like a nice combination of Lurkers everywhere. Moving the Lurkers a little bit closer. MaxPax knows that he cannot lose this base too. Hydra launches on the way. Time Warp goes down, but the Lurkers are powerful. Reynor's got a lot of money in the bank, by the way. I'm wondering what he's waiting for. MaxPax left the Tempest there, gets a few more shots off, but he is back to being a 3-base Protoss. Honestly, the aggression by Reynor so far has been beautiful. Reynor gets a few Infestors, guys. Yeah, I love that he didn't just have Lurkers on the right side or just Roaches. I think the combination of Roaches and Lurkers make it a lot more difficult for MaxPax to clean it up. That he's not expanding, if you mean Reynor. Yeah, I think Reynor could maybe drop more hatcheries, but that obviously, like, more bases is more problems to defend. And Reynor's army is becoming a little bit less mobile, while MaxPax will always have the ability to warp in a few Zealots with +3. Why do I like it for Max? He's 3 base at 15 minutes. I don't like it for Max, but I do think it looks better now than it did a while ago. Because his army is getting better. But we're not looking at 18 High Templars maxed out on Storm and 15 Immortals. It's still a decent amount of Stalkers that are not that useful. And it's mostly Tempest. And Tempests just don't kill stuff very quickly. I think it's playable. We've absolutely seen Protoss players win from this position, for sure. But I don't think we could ever say that it looks good for MaxPax. Basically what he has is a whole bunch of Tempest. Now, if you love Tempest. But he is starting to go back up to 5 bases now. Stuff like this perhaps, Papi. We land a little fungo. Hydra launch gets a couple of them immediately. Reynor will disengage. I do think there's going to be a moment where Reynor could make a lot of Corruptus. But it is scary to make Corruptus if you don't have any flyer upgrades. Because like 0-0 Corruptus, they feel very fragile. It takes a long time to kill. And obviously Archons and Storm are incredibly good against Corruptus. I think it's honestly a question that a lot of high-level Zergs are asking themselves. Like, what is the right unit to build? If the Tempest count goes up, if the Storm count is up. It seems that Reynor will still believe in just mobility. And trying to pick MaxPax apart. The Nidus is almost up. Will Reynor evacuate or really let them stay? Obviously the Lurkers don't shoot up. Ooh, loses the Nidus. Reynor's gonna come in from 2 angles and he's gonna try to see if these Hydras can get underneath the Tempest. It's actually sick. Now the Lurkers are still there. And the Lurkers that Reynor decided not to evacuate get a couple of really big shots off. And these are expensive fights for Reynor, but he's obviously been the one that's been a lot richer. I think Reynor is hoping for a moment where MaxPax is low on Storm. Because the Hydras are really good against everything if there's no Storm. But yeah. There should obviously always be Storm. This kind of feels that Reynor does not believe in Corruptus here at all. That's why he's not getting those upgrades. It's not that he's like, oh, you know, at one moment I'm suddenly going to make Corruptus. Reynor is going to try to get the job done with Lurkers, Hydras, some Infested, and I still want to believe a Viper, but the Viper is a hot topic these days. Some high-level Zergs out there even get angry when you tell them to make Vipers. And they're like, everybody says to make Vipers. How are you going to make Vipers? They'll get feedback, Stormed, Revelated, Tempest, yada yada. I just think it's always worth to switch it up. Like, you show up with 2-3 Vipers, you surprise them, you land some Obducts, Blinding Clouds. Then you can go away from the Viper, then you can go back into the Viper. Because Reynor clearly is still playing an active style. Well, I do think we know that Reynor can mold a little bit over games like this. Where he feels like he's got the Protoss on the ropes, but he just can't quite get him out of there. Now Carriers start showing up. Hydra's launched, trying to get in range of Carriers. First Carrier so close to dying, and it doesn't die. The second one does die, but now the Tempests are exposed. But obviously Reynor is going to lose a shit ton of Zerg units. Because we do have Storms. The Lurkers were not able to participate. Yeah. Reynor thought he saw some units there he could jump on, and he got one. He almost got the second. But in the end, that was a lot more painful for Reynor than it was for MaxPax. The fact that the other carrier is like one shot away from dying is something that we can maybe work with. Ultras, but the Ultras don't have maxed out upgrades yet. They have Kindness plating, but only +1 armor. Well, the Lurker count is still high. MaxPax's army, I think, particularly looks scary in a defensive position. I think when it comes to attacking, I am not truly in love yet with MaxPax's army. If MaxPax hits us with a recall in the middle of all these Zerg bases, I think that could backfire. I actually think that Reynor could get a great fight against an offensive recall. Spore Crawler or 2 helping out. But defensively, MaxPax's army now looks proper legit, and has been for a bit. Maybe he'll just call in some carriers. Carriers are good against Hydras, but if Hydras will also get the Shroud, then carriers don't do anything. That's why you oh, he's going for it! He's actually going for it in the natural! Reynor is probably going to be really sad that he never took out those rocks. +3 melee is so close to finishing up. Will the Evo Chamber live? +3 melee is done. Will MaxPax recall out? Or will he stay? There's a couple Zealots storming out of that center base. Kind of a nice play. Reynor loses all the tech, guys. The Hydralisk then, the Lurker then, the Ultralisk Cavern. That's all very pricey. Reynor's plan is to just overrun this entire army, but yeah, MaxPax does realize that this... Ooh, he left an Importer behind. Oh, that's so sad. And a High Templar. Carriers are very... Ultralisk can be very tanky, so the plan is obviously for Ultras to do the tanking and the rest of the army to do the killing. And if Ultras get on top of High Templars, then obviously they do kill them too. Reynor now fires up his first 2 Vipers. Reynor's drone count has been now. Reynor is sending it. Can we land a Fungal? There is no recall available. Fungal does go down. Is there enough DPS? A couple of the Hydras are melting. The Fungals are monstrous, but the Zerg army just disappears. And after 22 minutes, it is MaxPax. Even if he was down to 3 bases, even if he was surprised by the Midas, it is MaxPax with a Tempest, Storm, cannons and batteries. Everything that we were talking about that gets it done. And I think a lot of Zergs out there will look at this game and be like, it's a yoke. The balance in this matchup, it's a yoke. Now I don't think it's that bad, but it also every high level PvZ that we watch and we see this and we see Protoss players barely hang in there and get more Tempers and get a couple carriers. I think it rises the frustrations that a lot of the Zerg players have. Or the frustrations are rising. There we go. Yeah, but even Serral was mega patient against Australia. I know it was a different game and different interactions, but even Serral looked a little bit frustrated on ley lines. Reynor did his absolute best to get MaxPax out of there. Could be a map thing as well, right? Like King's Cove, you do have the original 3 bases. It's incredibly unlikely that you'll lose that. If you have some cannons, you have a couple storms. Normally the battle is over the 4th, and I don't think we can say Reynor didn't try to keep MaxPax on 4 bases. I do wonder what would have happened if Reynor, instead of like making 10 Mudas and then transitioning out of the Muda to go for other stuff, what if Reynor would have doubled down on the Mudas, tripled down on the Mudas? There was no any Impulse Crystals, all we had was 2 Archons and a Prism. I kind of think that like mass Muda would have been quite legit this game. The Stalkers didn't even have Blink yet, so I think it snowballs really quickly how much Reynor gets done. Dark would have absolutely stayed on Lair Tech with +2 melee Zerglings and 44 Mudas. And I think it snowballs. But if buts and maybes don't count, kudos to this man who obviously was in a lot of trouble, but he managed to survive. It was MaxPax. In the top right side, he's probably a tiny bit frustrated. We know him. He hasn't been the biggest fan of ZVP over the last few years. And I guess with every patch it only gets worse. BASILISK Reynor. I don't think it's really the Ultras where the game went wrong. Like, I don't think that's fair. I don't look at that game and say, oh, if Reynor would have made 0-0 Corruptors instead of Ultras, he wins that game. If he makes more Hydras, he wins that game. Like, I don't think that's fair. I think the most crucial point is the point where he goes Hive Tech and drops the Hydra then, and he starts going Lurkers. While I actually think Muda Link Bane, whether it's Lair Tech or Hive Tech, I think that giving the early game interactions, I think that could have snowballed. Yeah. Reynor definitely took a few painful fights by trying to end the game, and indeed the drone count wasn't mega high, but the bank was pretty healthy, to be fair. Like in Reynor's defense, the bank was healthy. And if Reynor instead of 70 drones has 95 drones, then we analyze like, oh, but he only has 105 army supply, he can't end the game when his drone count is so high. So, you know, it's... hindsight is truly 40-40. Surprised Man City haven't tried to move stones up into the midfield for Rotary. I'm not watching the game right now. What's the score? Still 1-0? When is Rotary coming back? I mean, I'm not gonna say I feel pity for Man City because they've been winning everything for so long. Not this entire season he's out? What even happened to him? You mean this year or this season? Did he tore his ACL or something? It's so sad. When did that happen? Because I feel like I vaguely remember that it happened. It was in the big ACL in September. And poor guy. Additional meniscus injury. It's hard to recover from those. I tore my meniscus when I was young. And I don't want to say I would have been Messi, but honestly, guys, I had an absolutely golden right foot. And I know Messi is left, but it doesn't matter. Could have been a beautiful career. I could have probably been playing in the Premier League right now still, even when I'm 37. I believe that with my peak physique, I would have been able to keep up, but unfortunately, the career got ruined. Tore my meniscus. It is what it is. Started yapping about video games instead. I'm joking, man. I'm not actually serious. Besides the part where I tore my meniscus, that part is true. And it was very painful. Not at first. Just like over time it got more painful. Shout out to Ill Phil for the 37 months. I appreciate it. That's when you picked up... No, I picked up Warcraft 3 seriously when I broke my shin. So basically like the lower part of the front part of your leg. I think it's just called shin. I broke that in winter sport. Instead of having long skis where you can fly out of the skis, I had the short skis. And my ski got stuck and my body flipped forward. But my boot didn't release from the ski. So, clack, I just broke my shin on the inside. That was very painful. That was really, really, really painful. But that is indeed the start of my esports career, cats. Yeah, that was bad. And I'm still traumatized from that. Because I had to... I had a cast all the way from my ankle all the way up to my thigh. So I just had to lay in bed for a couple weeks. Started grinding Warcraft 3 like while laying in bed from the side. But eventually I had to go to school again because the Dutch government is always like, you have to go to school as quickly as possible. So I had to go to school in a wheelchair. And I got bullied. They called me a fat wheelchair bitch. Now, some of those guys were my friends, but still, that hurts. As a little boy, that hurts. You used to be active, you inline skate, you play football, and suddenly you become the fat wheelchair bitch. Yeah, that leaves a scar or two. Great counter here, by the way, by Reynor, guys. Similar to game 1. Gets the pylon, gets 8 workers, just with a few Zerglings. It is surprising that Reynor can keep on pulling this off. Because he makes it look so easy that you think, wouldn't every Zerg just do this? Show up with a couple Zerglings? Well, most Zergs, guys, kill absolutely 0 probes against MaxPax in the first 15 minutes. And somehow Reynor, multiple times in a single best of 3, shows up with just a few links. It's these very, very tiny moments where it just makes sense apparently to show up, where Warpins are on cooldown, where Reynor knows MaxPax is moving out, where he's not watching. Big pickups for Reynor. Two Stalkers die rather quickly. One Queen was very lost. I wasn't bullied too much in Thailand. I was fine in high school. But, yeah, that was a bit sad. I'm not going to lie. I was definitely a little bit rattled. They say it once, twice, whatever. But if you have to be in a wheelchair for like 3 weeks, and every day you go to school in your stupid freaking wheelchair, and they keep on calling you that, it starts going under your skin. Well. It's all good. We survived, guys. We made it through. I was still a cool kid, I think. Damn. TLDR. We definitely had some injuries. Do we have pics of you in that wheelchair? I actually think I have one, yeah. It's very unflattering, though. I think I had a very grumpy face. Surprise. I'd have to look very deeply because I don't exactly know where that would be, but I think my mom took some pictures as well. There is a photo album somewhere. Does not look good. Big hoodie, sweatpants, very frowny face, like, please look. I don't think I can find it today, but I'll do my best. Zerglings nibble on the gates. Reynor gets a cancel on one of them. The rest gets stuck in a stasis trappy. Lurker then on the way. We don't have Hive yet right now. 7 minutes 40 seconds. Is there a world, guys, where Reynor just sends it with Lair Tag Lurkers? Hydra, Ling, Lurker, Lair Tag? Help me become a geek for Esita. I was always a gamer, mate. Even before all my injuries. I just used to be like a Nintendo 64 gamer. And a SNES and a NES. Well, NES very tiny bit. I don't remember much of the NES, but I did play it. But especially the Super Nintendo and the N64, I went hard as a kid. Here come the Overlords. They will start a dropping creep. There is a stasis trap here. MaxPax has a fleet beacon on the way, so he is already thinking about the next 10 minutes. I don't think Reynor is thinking about the next 10 minutes. Would it make sense for Reynor to almost attack on the low ground here, guys? Instead of trying to bust the third wide open. I mean, he can obviously work his way through the rocks. If he could get Lurkers in the middle of these bases, between like the second, third, and fourth base, I feel like in front of the natural, it'd be kind of sick. But Reynor is having none of that. He just keeps on moving forward. So nice to have some queens here for Reynor. So even when the Lurkers get stormed, the Transfuse is doing its thing. More storms. It is a storm versus the ladies. There are Zealots counterattacking on the other side of the map. Reynor obviously is absolutely sending it. He's definitely doing some damage, but he needs creep to get closer. Oh, I love that Spine. Spine is buying some time, keeping the drone safe. MaxPax is looking to completely evacuate the third. That's obviously pricey, not just because of the base, but he had a lot of cannons here. He has pylons. He had 4 gateways. Well, MaxPax just wants to survive. He has a 14 worker lead, but the Reynor's got 50 army supply more. He's even building something on the bottom right side. Reynor obviously needs to keep on going. That's a lot of High Templars, guys. Reynor knows he needs to keep on going. Does he see the stasis trappies here? Yes, with the roaches. Something. The third has fallen. Reynor has an infestation pit, but he has not started up Hive yet. Big moments. Who is going to win this best of 3 in the Masters Coliseum 8 group stage? Second series of this group. Earlier today we saw MaxPax win 2-1 over Skillers. And I have the feeling that this one is about to be decided real soon. Queens make their way down a ramp, stuck in the stasis trappy. Storm is going down on the right. Reynor is looking for that Lurker sandwich. Does not want to see Kingscope happen all over again. It's so many storms though. Maybe Zerglings into the natural? Maybe Reynor can split up some Links, some Hydras, Time Warp, Cloaking. No Overseer here, by the way. No Overseer is so painful. I don't see any detection at all. Reynor's just gonna wait it out. Now he does have Lurkers. They'll do their thing. The mothership falls. There's a lot of pressure coming out of Reynor. Reynor is going to start working on some of the stuff here in the natural. And he does split up units. And I think this is big. This might be that tipping point that Reynor's been looking for. One Immortal is not going to win the fight against those Zerglings. And Hydra's MaxPax hits us with a recall. A lot of gateway units. Oh, that's a lot of exposed High Templars, but it will be okay. Where are the Lurkers going? This is definitely a send. And Reynor is properly sending it. He's doing whatever the hell he can to end this. MaxPax is doing its absolute best to stabilize. Queens are kind of out of energy. Not a lot of cannons and batteries left anymore. High Templar count is still decent, so I think Reynor needs to make sure he doesn't group up too many Lurkers. Okay, finds that base in the bottom right side. Rico is on cooldown. MaxPax can't really do a lot here. I think MaxPax is just going to have to give up on this base altogether. Reynor, his Hydras, his Links, his Lurkers. So close to making it up the high ground, but the bottom right side base is a goner. Gateway falls, High Templar falls. Kind of just feels that MaxPax doesn't really have that like staging ground anymore that he can really rely on. I don't see any position where I feel like his army is properly okay. High Templars are always going to be exposed. They'll always be attacked. The Reynor moves the Lurkers all the way up to the high ground. And the probes have been evacuated from the bottom right. MaxPax is about to lose his natural. Might even lose that robot too. Or he's going to try to save it, I guess. We have Mothership cloaking once more. There is one Overseer. Tempest could obviously kill it. Stalkers could kill it. Max is such a warrior, eh? Is he low on gateways? Well, I think we lost 2 gateways here in the front. We lost 4 gateways at the third. So MaxPax has probably lost like 6 or 7 gates. After minutes of pressure, Reynor is going to back off. I don't think he wants to build a Spire. I think Reynor is just not a corrupted believer at all. He's sick that his Nexus lives. I think Reynor just wants to launch those Hydras straight in range of the Tempest. Or we build a Spire anyway. Who's in the advantage now? I'd definitely say Reynor. MaxPax has not just lost bases, but he has lost a lot of infrastructure. And Reynor's got a lot of creep on the bottom side of the map, so... I like it for Reynor, but obviously we've seen it last game. This is not over yet. And Zerg late game is indeed tough. But MaxPax also lost his Cybercore, so even +1 is delayed. I like it for Reynor. But he's not there yet. Ooh, 8 Dropper Lords. 8 Dropper Lords. Reynor is gonna storm that main base of MaxPax like it's Normandy in 1940. 5. 4. 5. 44. 4. No? Yeah, it started in 4. 44. Long time ago, guys. June 6, 1944. I'm not quite sure if the 21st of December 2024 will go down in the history books in the same way, but it's a proper invasion, alright. Here come the lads. And MaxPax has already lost a lot of infrastructure, so this is going to be painful, but there is a severe lack of anti-air, I guess, as well in this invasion. This is sick. Here come all the lurkers. A couple of queens gonna get on top of the new Cybercore, the Stargate, the Fleet Beacon, or at least I think there was a Cybercore here. I think it just died. Could have been something else as well. But the Stargates will definitely die. The Fleet Beacon, an expensive building, will die. And this is some peak Zerg gameplay. I feel like a long time ago, this is what Blizzard had in mind. We got Zerglings trying to get on top of the Nexus and cannons in the bottom right side as well, but a lot of them are stuck in the stasis scrappy. And the entire maze base of Max is gone. But Max is kind of accepting it. He's like, yeah, okay, can't do much about that. Just gonna let my Tempest do that thing. One volley at a time. Few of the interceptors are working on the queens. I don't know about this Hydra launch forward, Reynor. That's very ambitious. There's an entire Protoss army there. I'd love to see the lurkers maybe move. Kill the Nexus. Not killing the Nexus would be a shame though. The Hydras want to get that Tempest and they get it. Alright. Now Reynor says this is the moment. Spire was done. Reynor remaxes on 17 Corruptus and he has gone for Flyer Carapace rather than attack. Lurker Corruptor. Not a single spellcaster in the army of Reynor at the moment. Not counting queens, obviously. Nobody counts queens. I don't count queens. Oh, I do love finishing the job with like 24 Zerglings in the main. I think that's cute. There's still a couple pylons. It's always annoying as a Protoss to lose those. There's a Nexus. MaxPax is trying to put up an absolutely heroic defense. And he has for the last 8 minutes, to be fair. Unless the Protoss would have died 9 minutes ago. But there is just so much freaking Zerg. Now MaxPax does have a lot of army supply as well, but it's not all here. So he does end up losing a couple of the Templars. The lurkers from the low ground get devastating shots off. The Zerglings are all over the Stalkers. It's a sick game by Reynor. It really is a sick game. Reynor probably molding a little over that King's Cove game not going his way, but he really is busting out all the stops here. MaxPax is gonna fire up a couple Void Rays, but he doesn't have Flux Veins and he doesn't have the best upgrades. Like if these Voids had +2, +3 already, I'd be like, it's scary if he gets like 6 of them. Well, 2 Void Rays without any upgrades. It is that campaign mission all over again. We've seen it many times over the years. Reynor's in the main, in the natural. Has obviously tried to be in the bottom right side. I think MaxPax at this point is like, alright, have it. Take it all. The third is my new main. And I'm just gonna sit there and build more cannons and batteries and drop some storms. and get Tempest shots up. And every single Tempest shot is gonna bring me closer to victory. Reynor does add in a Viper now. I think it's for the Loco maneuver, guys. It leads the charge with the Corruptus. Maybe he's trying to drain some of the High Templar energy, but yeah, that's obviously where energy recharge is very useful. There's not many carriers in the mix, to be fair, so I guess the Loco maneuver will not truly be a thing. OG Dimaga maneuver, by the way, guys, but Loco took credit and ran with it. Nah, it's mostly the boys, Lambo and Reynor started calling it the Loco maneuver. And Loco's like, it's not me, guys, but sure, I'll take it, but it wasn't me. Just became a thing. 128 supply versus 99. Army supply, that is. Couple cannons, couple batteries. Another revelation gets dropped. Hey, I love that MaxPax has a Zelnaga Watchtower with a Blink Stalker. That's actually a really cool play. I didn't know that was a thing. That's like so good as well against the NTF2. Here comes the Viper. We will abduct a Tempest. Is there energy for more? That's a big storm, by the way, that MaxPax landed there. But MaxPax is gonna have a very hard time replacing every unit that he's losing, because Reynor has just had excellent trades throughout the last few minutes, and Reynor has taken out all the production facilities as well. So MaxPax doesn't have a bank. MaxPax is having trouble rebuilding all the tech that he's been losing. Lol. That High Templar somehow lives. Shield battery and Storm doing his thing. Feedback does land on the one Viper that Reynor has built. This would go down as the biggest rope-a-dope in history if MaxPax somehow wins that game. Even Muhammad Ali would wake up and say that he's proud of this one. As Reynor truly is throwing the kitchen sink at Max, trying to get him out of this game once and for all. A few more big storms land. They connect with a lot of the Corruptus, but MaxPax loses another Nexus. The 6th Nexus that has probably gone down in this game. MaxPax is now a 1-base Protoss. And I love the warrior spirit. I think at this point MaxPax also knows it. This one is probably not going his way, guys. He honestly had a great comeback on King's Cove, where things definitely looked dire for a bit. But I'm afraid for Max that this game is too far gone. Has lost too much infrastructure over and over. He's about to lose cybernetics core number 4. Definitely the 3rd one, but maybe even the 4th one. I don't think Reynor is bullying him at all. Reynor is just doing his absolute best to get him out of this game. But if MaxPax doesn't surrender, what can you do? Another Cybercore will fall. Plus 2 air weapons gets denied. MaxPax has 95 Protoss army supply and a dream. If Reynor was like ultra broke, it'd be like, I see it, but Reynor is obviously not broke. There are so many resources left to mine on this map. Reynor could take another base. I don't think it'd be a bad play. Yeah, it's difficult not to throw, but Reynor is not throwing. Reynor has done everything right. I'd say it's a really good game. Nice adjustment to go for a lot more lair tech aggression. And I think we are one fight away from this game being over. And Reynor winning his opening best of 3 in the Masters Coliseum. And perhaps starting a new win streak over MaxPax. He had a very long win streak. It got snapped in the big green bouts a little over a month ago. Where MaxPax got a 3-1 victory over Reynor. But here in Masters Coliseum 8, the same tournament where Reynor made it to the lower bracket finals a year ago. Back then he lost against Hero in a legendary series. Reynor will perhaps start a new streak. It costed an arm and a leg. But hey, Reynor gets the job done. A 2-1 victory over Max means Reynor is now leading in Group B. This will be the only series that Reynor plays today. Tomorrow Reynor will play against Rogue and Skillless. But we have one more series to look forward to, and that is Skillless Rogue. We had a lot of high expectations, guys, for Group B. And so far, 2-1, 2-1. 6 games. I think we're all pretty happy. Big shout out to Daiki, who subbed 12 minutes ago saying, "Hi Roddy, this is it for me for now. I switched back to SC1 over 2 years ago, and I hardly ever watch SC2 anymore. Maybe in the future, love, keep it up." 100 months, guys, from Daiki. 100 months of SC2. Well, he said 2 years ago, so I guess it's 76 months of SC2. And now he loves Brood War. Enjoy the Artosis memes, my friend, or any of the other great Brood War streamers. Thank you. 100 months is obviously crazy. You are appreciated. I hope you're still here. Yeah. He is still here, I think. Legend. Immortalized. Red Bull Phoenix. I mean, what more could you ask for? Really fun series, guys, between these two. You guys were believers. I guess Reynor impressed all of y'all yesterday night. Reynor gets the job done. The Italian Zorg wins his opening series. And we'll have one final best of 3 of the day. It is Rogue versus Skillus. An important one for Skillus. If he loses, he's not out. But he definitely, I think, wants to take a map here. I really believe that this group has a lot of tie scenarios. And especially probably a lot of 2-1s as well. So far, nothing but 2-1s. So. Do you guys think Rogue the Korean Zerg will win, or do you guys believe that Skillus, the Dutch Protoss? I know, he's RU as well, but doesn't matter. He lives in the Netherlands. He's rocking the Mustachio. Final series of the day. This group will continue tomorrow, 1 p.m. CET, 7 a.m. on the East Coast, 4 a.m. on the West Coast. I think we can safely say that this group has delivered. I'm going to take a very tiny break, guys. I'm going to eat some ham and cheese toast. Maybe with some ball, maybe with curry, who knows. And then I'll be back for the final series.